Hi friends, if you're like me, today you're dressed like a pretty princess, or you're a photographer that wants to talk about story structure. If that sounds like you, we should talk. So today we are going to be talking about story structure, specifically decisions that you can make as you're shooting and as you're blogging that can make you a better photographer if storytelling is your jam. If that's what you're going for, let's talk about it. I really wanted to have this conversation because Alyssa commented and said, unrelated, but have you thought about doing an in-depth mini-series on storytelling? And I think it's a great idea. So much of what we do is based in story structure for the most part. The things that we're looking for when we're doing photojournalism, the way that we end up blogging, the way that we end up putting together slideshows, the albums that we put together for our clients, we have a loose idea of what story structure looks like on a wedding day, and the way that we shoot is influenced by that, even if it's just subconscious. But if it becomes a really conscious thought process, we can probably do it a little bit better. I talked about this before, but I love the phrase never stop shooting, and it really means that I'm looking for like those transitional images, that I'm shooting movement, that I'm not just shooting somebody as they stand there smiling, looking at each other, but the moments that go into them going into that pose, into that positioning, and their reactions as they move out of it. I think that those movements, those moments are really important and vital for the way that I capture and show the day, and also for showing what it felt like for them to be there, those organic moments. Even if I'm creating the actual pose, shooting just before and just after it, shooting through those moments is really what it's like when I talk about never stop shooting. And it really means that whenever I am driving up to a wedding venue, I will like pop out of my car and take a picture of the drive up so that I can show the foliage. It means that I'm going to run back and get pictures of the exteriors of the buildings that I'm coming in and out of. One thing that's been really interesting is I've taken 4 writing classes with London-based author Luke Kilsner. It's been a thing that I've been doing since the pandemic started because the school started offering online classes, and I was like, yes, please sign me up, because she's incredible. And a lot of what we do are critiques, and a lot of the feedback that I give whenever I'm critiquing people's blog posts is stuff that you kind of hear over and over in these storybook writing classes, which I think is really interesting. Like, I don't think you need this extra character in there. I think it would be a really tight story if you just got rid of a couple of these pages that I know you're really excited about these lines, but I don't think they need to be in there. You're just convoluting the story. I think there's a lot of times where like blog posts can get really long because we're like really just like, oh, I really like this image, but maybe it doesn't necessarily make sense in the sequence of events, or maybe you're trying to tell a story of a thing that happened, but it doesn't make sense to the viewer. It's one of those like you had to be there things. Anyway, things like that are better left out whenever you are retelling a story. And the feedback that we get in a lot of these storybook classes is stuff that I also find that I want to give photographers whenever I'm looking through their blog posts. What's cool about wedding days is that they usually have a pretty obvious plot. Most movies follow the same plot, the same story structure. There's something called the hero's journey. Star Wars, Toy Story, pretty much every Pixar movie follows the hero's journey, like all of the different plot lines that happen in every single story. So there's no shame in it, but I think we can talk about what a wedding plot line looks like and how we can look for those moments and make sure that we are storytelling to the best of our abilities, but also maybe it can help you hone in on a couple key moments to look for on wedding days that can be really pivotal for the way that you showcase the story in the end. I think a broken down plot line for a wedding day looks roughly like this. There is scene setting and mood setting, like where are we and what's the vibe going to be like. There's the introduction of characters, letting us know who's going to be featured, or maybe focusing on one main character that's going to be consistent throughout the rest of the story. There's the showcasing of chronological events with transitional images in between them. There are montages of portraits where you're showing like what love feels like, getting in close and backing up and really moving people through those moments by trying to bring them in close and have it feel really nice and intimate. There's more events, there's more transitional images, and then in the end we sort of want to wrap it up by zooming out and giving you a feel of how it all ended that sort of mirrors the beginning of the day. This is roughly the story that I'm trying to tell on every single wedding day, regardless of whether or not it's an elopement or a full wedding day. So I'm going to go through a couple blog posts so I can show you roughly what that looks like as it plays out. This is the first image of my blog post, but it's actually taken like later in the reception. I really wanted to show some foreshadowing, and I really wanted to tie in the vibe of the wedding day. And as much as I liked their getting ready area, whenever we zoom out, I feel like this is a good representation of like the overall vibe. So I've got scene setting, I have vibe setting. I really want to show that they are cool and quirky, introduction of the characters, more showing of the mood, introduction of the groom. This is their first look. So chronological events, happening, more stuff happening chronologically. Here comes a montage. This is a montage of love, and they're laughing and they're pretty, and it's a montage of love, and they're funny, and I'm zooming out, and then I'm going to zoom in and show in between images. I'm really regretting that I started singing. I'm grouping my black and whites together because that's a thing I like to do. The montage continues with some silly stuff, some beautiful stuff, zooming out a little bit more, showcasing a different area, a little montage of love. Transitional image showing them walking, more walking, new location, little montage. And then we've got some transitional images showing that the ceremony is about to begin. We have them walking down. It's a little mysterious. It's a little silly. Here's the crowd, and we begin. So this is the ceremony. I'm showing it chronologically, getting close, zooming out, showing the silly ones, showing the fun ones, showing the supporting cast, really trying to show what their love feels like by including tons of laughing pictures. We've got the kiss, we've got the walk out, we've got them walking away. We have the transition, once we show the band, of the parade. So this is them walking to the reception, which you couldn't ask for a better transition than that. That's a really sweet transition. Fun fact, I booked a client that was walking their dog at this wedding, which is just funny. I think they might have even been in one of the wedding pictures that they saw on the internet, but they were walking their dog whenever this wedding happened. Anyway, more transitional images. We've got them walking in. And I got a couple portraits, but since they were so giggly and cute, instead of showing serious ones, which I do for some clients, they get really fun giggly ones. Transitional image, zoom back, showing that it's now the cocktail hour. Introduction of some details, showing some people enjoying themselves. Transitional images going into the reception, showing details from the reception pictures. We've got dancing, more dancing. Fun dancing, everybody eating, zooming out to show what that looks like. More dancing, cake cutting. It's not always something that I show, but I really like to throw cake cutting. This is the crazy dance montage, and my last images of the night are me zooming out and just showing what the vibe was like at the end of the evening. These might not have been the last pictures that I took, but that's whenever I was getting my blue hour pictures because I love blue hour to sort of end the day. So I'm gonna link you to some very specific recent blog posts that are gonna follow this exact same structure, but I promise it's always gonna be the same. There's gonna be scene setting and moon setting. Here we are in New York. It's gonna be a very vibrant, colorful day. It's a wedding. Introduction of characters, starting with the dog, and then the bride, and then chronological events as they happen, and then as we go down to the first look, we've got a little montage of love. We've got scene setting, because now we're going outside. Here's those colors that I foreshadowed. As foretold, there was red. We have transitional image, and now we're at the wedding venue. We have a little montage of love, getting close, zooming out, showing them looking really nice and beautiful. I'm gonna scroll through transitional image. Now we're gonna go into the ceremony, showing the details, showing the space, introducing the supporting cast. Chronological event, you know what a ceremony looks like. We are transitioning from the ceremony to cocktail hour, so I'm zooming out, showing the mood and vibe as it's changed. Zooming out, showing how the space feels, showing some chronological events, little mini montage of love now that it's evening. We have dancing and dancing and dancing, little montage of dancing, and I'm gonna end this one with an exterior picture of New York, because New York was also a character the whole time. I feel like that's like a trope. I'm gonna show you one more. Here's an exterior building, some foreshadowing, 2 dresses, introduction of characters. I really love this wedding because they were getting ready in the exact same looking rooms. So I got to show like this is what they were doing at the exact same time, which I really loved and appreciate. So I'm gonna show you another wedding, but I'm gonna pitch it to you like I'm trying to pitch a movie. Here we go. The story begins as we zoom in to a row home in Baltimore. We go inside and we realize, there's a wedding happening. There's some brightly colored stuff, and then we introduce the bride as she's getting ready for her wedding day. The groom is also getting ready for his wedding day, going back and forth between them. This is the black and white montage. montage. We have other people getting ready. We have the moment that they get to see each other, a little love montage. I wanted to include a few pictures of this because it's really important to me. Then we move to the church. We know whose shoes those are because she's wearing a white dress, and also I showcased them earlier, a little foreshadowing. We're showing the church. We've got the bridesmaids helping. Then she comes down the aisle. It's an emotional moment. There's movement. We're zooming out. We're zooming in. We're showing the feelings of the grandmother as she plays the piano. It's a very special day. We have some traditions. We've got the end of the ceremony, the exit. We've got vibrant colors here, as foretold earlier in the beginning of the blog post. We've got them coming out. We have the transitional photos showing them getting into the car, the driving away. We have a new scene, so we're walking into it. That's the transitional images. We're zooming out, we're zooming in. We have another love montage here where we're showing transitional images every time we're going to a new space, zooming out, zooming in, showing action, showing love, trying to showcase who they are and how much they love each other. Transitional images, she's moving away, and then an introduction of a new scene, setting the mood for this really cool Art Deco 1920s styled home, which had tons of cool wallpaper, which is also going to be good foreshadowing for what the cocktail hour and reception look like. We have colorful dresses, we're outside, it's really kooky, quirky. We come in, we're showcasing more of the things as they happen chronologically. We're zooming out and getting close up. We're showing the different characters, showing transitional photos that say that they went to dinner, other stuff. First dance, zooming out, getting in close, zooming out. This is the dancing montage where it's really fun because dancing was a big part of their day, so we're going to dedicate a whole little montage to it. This was her first dance with her dad, which was really funny. Transitional image, they go upstairs, they get a moment alone, it's nice and quiet, there's a little quiet love montage. These images technically weren't the end of the day, but I love it because this blog post started with her blue shoes all nice and new, and then we're ending at the end of the day with them all sort of scuffed up, which I think is a cool way to end things. I think that you get that a lot of the things that I do are very formulaic. It's a thing that I talk about whenever I'm like, I pose people. Yeah, it's very formulaic. Here are the different poses that I use, and storytelling is a lot like that. It really is. There are really basic things that are needed for you to tell basically any story. And it's really cool for me to be able to pull from the storytelling stuff that I've been learning about in Lou's class and to be able to apply it to wedding photography, because I think that it doesn't matter if it is formulaic. Almost all movies follow the hero's journey. And for the most part, there are like twists and turns, but what makes a movie easy to follow is that they're sort of following a path. They're leading you through the story by giving you certain information and not overwhelming you with information that isn't relevant to the story. And I think showing a wedding is a lot like that. And I think there are a couple key things that you can look for to make sure that you have all of the ingredients for a recipe for a good wedding story plot line. So I'm going to recommend always looking for transitional images. This is something I know that I've said over and over. It's one of the reasons that I always set an alarm on my watch to go outside during blue hour, because that's when I'm going to take the prettiest version of the zoomed out, here's what the venue looks like picture. Knowing what the different plot points are is fine, but you know that you're supposed to take a picture of the kiss. You just want to make sure that the picture that you get of the kiss at the end of the ceremony is the best picture that you can get of the kiss, not just got it. And that's something we need to keep in mind when we're getting these transitional images too, or as we're hitting these different plot points. So yes, obviously I'm going to take pictures of the couple writing their notes to each other, but I also want to make sure I'm taking the best possible picture I can of that, not just I got a picture of it. I love that this is a silhouette picture. Yes, I'm going to take a picture of their outfits, but what I want to showcase is the best picture I took of it. Taking a picture of her suit jacket on the door wasn't the best picture. Zooming in, having her name and showcasing the colors was the better picture. And so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the best possible picture that I can put in that situation. I want to showcase the shoes, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it in a way that's sort of the best way that I can do that. If I didn't get this picture that I love of her putting on her shoes, I probably just wouldn't show her putting on her shoes because it's not necessary for the montage of getting ready. I don't need to have like a checklist of things that I'm getting. I'm just shooting everything, and if I get a photo that I think works really well, then I get excited about it. But I'm going to include this image in the storytelling because I like it. I like the movement. I like the shape of it. I'm introducing the characters as they are for the first look. I'm showing a little montage of that, not just one or two images, but I really want to bring you in and have you feel that moment. Then they have a first look with their child, which is so sweet. I'm doing some transitional images, and I might have taken this early in the day, but as I'm telling the story, this is my B-roll that I'm gonna pull from and bring into this moment. Showing the supporting cast, a little mini montage showing their love in a bar, which I think is very cute. Transitional images as we move to the reception. So I know at this point you guys totally get it. I just want to make sure that whenever we are showcasing the things that are happening, we are looking for ways that we can show those moments looking different. So yes, she was helping her with a dress, but in this moment the dress was up in the air and it looked amazing. So I was looking for a way that I could showcase that moment, but also show how this moment is completely different to anybody else's wedding day. Like her throwing that material up in the air is different than how most people would put on their dresses. I want to showcase how specifically beautiful different moments are instead of just showing them. I want to think of ways that I can only showcase things that fit into the plot that are also the most beautiful, the most different, the most unique, the things that make me feel the most, that bring you in the most, that showcase things the most. And I feel like everything else can kind of be taken out. I think one of the critiques that I get a lot whenever I'm writing stories is to take out all the adjectives, take out all the descriptive words, because yes, they're flowery and they're nice, but it's watering down the story. For a story to really hit, you want to take out some of those images that are watering down the rest of your work. So if you have 5 images of clients standing in roughly the same place, you are watering down each one of those photos by having them all together. The culling process is the part that hurts, and yes, it's gonna hurt. If you are showing somebody standing on a bridge and it's the most beautiful bridge and it's sunset and it looks amazing and you are sharing like 15 of those images, you are making each one of them weaker by including so many. Like the amount that people are able to appreciate it is divided into 15ths instead of being able to fully enjoy a couple of images. So as much as I think it's really important for us to understand the plot progression that happens as we're telling a story on the wedding day, it's also really important for us to actively be looking for ways to make those images special. So we're not just trying to be like, this one fits the bill. Yeah, this is a good transition. We want to really look for those images and try to make sure that we are hitting those different plot points with really unique images. We're trying to shoot people moving into and leaving their poses. That way we can show those organic moments and not trying to overwhelm by including too many. I would say I'm probably an exceptionally long blogger, and an 8 to 10 hour wedding day for me is usually like 85 images tops in a blog post. I feel like an engagement session blog post should be no more than 25 images. If it's the most amazing engagement session you've ever had, maybe 40. I have one that is 41, and I'm going to show it to you just because we've been talking about plot structure. More than anything, I just wanted to show this image right at the forefront. Here's where we are. Here's the introduction of characters. We're zooming in, we're zooming out. I'm trying not to show too many images from the same spaces, especially when I really love the spaces. I really want them to stand out and be different. I've got a little black and white montage here where I'm zooming in and out. I love that image. And so I wanted to separate it from the first one because I felt like they were very similar, but I still wanted to show both, but it's still zooming out, zooming in. And those are the 3 images that I am going to show from that awesome V, because the awesome V was super cool, but I feel like I would just be watering it down if I showed too many. Zooming out, zooming in, showing different areas. We're going through the scene, plot twist, and then we are going to end the blog post by zooming out and showing them sort of like walking off into the distance. In a lot of my engagement sessions will end like that. What I think makes the story look great is that whenever we're telling it to other people, not necessarily to our clients, but whenever we are showcasing and blogging, that everybody understands roughly what the plot is. So if we have a couple pictures where we don't necessarily know what's happening, maybe get another pair of eyes on a blog post and see like, can you tell what's happening in all of these pictures? And if there are any that are questionable, just take them out. We want to make sure that we aren't dwelling on storytelling in areas where we don't need to. So we don't need 30 different getting ready images, especially when we can crescendo to a really amazing ceremony space. If you were just throwing in getting ready pictures because it follows the plot, it can be a quick summary. That can be a real quick montage before you get out of there. Feel free to be conservative with including less images during times of the day that you don't necessarily want to shoot again. The bottom line is, if you're following this loose plot structure and you really want to include images that show good storytelling, try to take one amazing picture from each different part of the day. Try to take one really great getting ready picture. Once they have their outfits on, try to take one really good interacting picture. Try to take one really good picture of them walking to or from a location. Try to make that the thing that you're looking for. When I'm looking really hard for those moments that make each wedding day different, I'm still gonna be able to plug them into the plot line the same way I'm always able to. It's just gonna hit a little bit harder and feel a little bit better and look like stronger photojournalism whenever I am putting them into the slideshow and into the blog post and showcasing them later. So I hope that's helpful. I hope this wasn't just like,
take good pictures of everything and then you'll have better pictures, you dummy.
I really hope it's helpful for you to hear what those different plot lines are, so that way you can keep in mind those transitional images, or making sure that you are getting people walking into and out of things, and keeping in mind that you want to get mysterious silhouette images of your clients, so that way you can like introduce the characters, because I think stuff like that is fun. I think it shows great storytelling, and it's different from how we are just presented with the wedding day. Like, we ultimately get to decide how that story is told, no matter how it looks. So we get to make a lot of like cool artistic decisions, and I love this as a suggestion. So Alyssa, thank you so much for asking, and I really enjoy this talk. So if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Don't forget to look for the links below so you can see a bunch of blog posts that are going to be following this exact same structure. We can definitely talk about this more. If you have any questions about storytelling, if you have any questions about story structure, transitional images, anything like that, definitely let me know. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Got it.